Imagine boarding a flight just like any other, expecting a peaceful journey across the skies, only for the engines to fail mid-air, the cockpit to fall silent, and chaos to erupt at 35,000 feet. But in the darkest moment, when all hope was lost, a quiet woman from seat 27A stood up and did the unthinkable. What she did next left even the trained pilots watching her in stunned silence. This is not just a story of survival. It's a revelation of secrets, courage, and the twist that made headlines across the world. Stay with us till the end, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping true stories you won't believe are real. It was supposed to be a routine flight from London Heathrow to JFK International. Flight 827 carried 214 passengers, all just eager to get across the Atlantic, including business travelers, tourists, and one woman no one had really noticed, until the moment everything changed. Her name was Dr. Elena Marlowe, a quiet, observant woman with piercing green eyes, modest black clothes, and a presence that radiated calm, but hinted at something deeper, something hidden. As passengers boarded, the flight attendants greeted them with cheerful smiles, unaware that one of them would soon become the lifeline of the entire aircraft. Elena had booked her seat last minute. She wasn't supposed to be on this flight. She had declined an earlier departure, apparently due to a gut feeling, and now sat in seat 27A by the window, silently observing. She took notes in a leather-bound journal, glanced at the engines occasionally, and sipped her herbal tea with an odd precision, almost like she was calculating something. In the cockpit, Captain Reynolds and First Officer Lee joked about turbulence over the Atlantic and casually glanced over the forecast. Everything looked fine. Takeoff was smooth. Passengers settled into their meals and movies. But 2 hours, in exactly over the mid-Atlantic ridge, something went terribly wrong. A sharp, loud bang echoed through the cabin. The lights flickered. The engines made an eerie whine. A burning smell filled the air. Panic rippled through the cabin like electricity. Oxygen masks deployed. Flight attendants screamed instructions, some breaking protocol. The cockpit scrambled, but within seconds they realized the worst. Both engines were failing. Instruments glitched. Auto systems went offline. The plane was rapidly descending, and the pilots were locked out of basic flight commands. "This isn't possible," Captain Reynolds muttered, his hands shaking. This shouldn't happen." But amid the screaming, praying, and chaos, one figure calmly unbuckled her seatbelt. Elena stood, passengers watched, stunned, as the woman from 27A walked with complete calm toward the galley. Flight attendants tried to stop her, but she flashed a laminated card, one they'd never seen before. U.S. Civil Aeronautics Emergency Operative. Level black. Even the head steward backed off. She moved toward the cockpit. The door was locked. Without hesitation, she pulled a pin from her hair, inserted it beneath the panel next to the cockpit door, and popped it open. The pilots turned in shock. "Who the hell are you?" Captain Reynolds yelled. "We're in a critical emergency. This isn't the time for—" Elena cut him off. "You've lost manual override. Engine 2 suffered hydraulic combustion failure. The auto-correcting systems are jammed. I can fix it, but you need to let me take control." The cockpit went silent. "You're military?" the co-pilot asked, his voice shaking. "Something like that," she said cryptically. What no one knew was that Elena Marlowe wasn't just a former Air Force pilot. She was the architect behind the emergency override system used in commercial planes for crisis control. After a classified tragedy in her past that had grounded her from active service, she had disappeared from the public eye. But she'd boarded this flight knowing that something was off, something she couldn't ignore. Now, with every second counting, she slid into the co-pilot's seat and began typing sequences into the secondary backup console. Her fingers moved fast, accessing layers of code even the pilots didn't know existed. They watched in disbelief as she bypassed the lockdown, rerouted fuel pumps manually, and engaged glider mode using analog controls that hadn't been touched in decades. Outside, storm clouds closed in. Wind shear made the plane shake violently. In the cabin, passengers clutched loved ones, some crying, others texting goodbyes. But in the cockpit, Elena's expression remained razor-sharp. The plane was gliding now, but barely. The coast of Canada was still too far. Fuel systems were fried. Altitude was dropping fast. Airports were out of range. But Elena saw something on the radar, a long, straight, icy field on a remote island. Off Newfoundland. Not a runway, but long enough for a belly landing. "We can land there," she said. "That's suicide!" Captain Reynolds protested. "It's that or crash into the Atlantic," Elena replied. With limited flaps and no landing gear, Elena executed a maneuver few would dare, a glide dive at 23 degrees, straight toward the frozen field, timing every shift of wind, every swerve of cloud coverage. The turbulence was ferocious. The plane tilted side to side, and passengers screamed in terror. But as the island came into view, barely more than a snowy strip of land, Elena's voice came through the intercom. "Brace position, stay calm, we're going down, but not out." Then she cut the mic, narrowed her eyes, and pulled the yoke gently. They descended fast, too fast, but she used crosswinds to create lift. The plane's belly slammed the ice with a thunderous screech. Metal screamed. Overhead bins flew open. Seats rattled. But after dragging nearly 700 feet, the plane miraculously stopped. No explosion, no fire, just silence, and the sound of sobs and cheers erupting. Everyone was alive. Emergency slides deployed. Passengers evacuated onto the snow, shaking, crying, some kneeling in prayer. The pilots exited last, still unable to comprehend what had just happened. Elena stood to the side, arms crossed, face unreadable. She didn't smile. She didn't boast. She just waited. Hours later, news helicopters arrived. So did rescue crews. Reporters swarmed survivors. The story of the passenger who saved the flight exploded across global headlines. Social media went wild. Who was she? Why was she on that flight? How did she know what to do when trained pilots froze? For a while, authorities kept her name sealed. But a video taken by a teenager from seat 15C surfaced online. It showed Elena in the cockpit, giving instructions, rerouting the system, taking control with surgical precision. The clip hit 50 million views within 24 hours. Elena became a global mystery, a hero, a symbol of silent strength. But what truly shocked the world was when a declassified file leaked weeks later. Elena Marlowe, a once celebrated aerospace prodigy, had been dishonorably discharged from Secret Service 5 years ago for disobeying direct orders to save civilian lives, an act that had cost lives, but saved hundreds. Branded a traitor and scapegoat, she vanished. Until now. In the face of death, when protocols failed and systems collapsed, she did what no one else could. Saved a plane full of strangers while carrying the scars of betrayal. She was no longer the woman they buried in silence. Now the world knew her story, and so do you. Don't forget to subscribe, because stories like this prove the quietest people often hold the loudest legacies and the most shocking truths.